welcome every one of you here for this short presentation by one of our foremost cinema administrators and consultants in Nigeria, Mr. Kene Mkparu. But let me quickly first introduce the Nigerian High Commissioner to Canada, who has said since the event is a Nigerian event, he has to be here because he is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria today in Canada. So let's welcome His Excellency.
There's only one president.
His name is His Excellency Chief Ojo Uma Maduekwe. CFR. You're welcome, sir. To his right is the Acting Director General of the National Film and Video Censors Board, Ms. Patricia Bala. We have so many Nigerian filmmakers, producers, marketers, distributors in this forum with us. And we have a Nigerian who just 2 days ago was a hit. I wouldn't want to call his name. I want him to just come out for us to see and appreciate him once again. Please. He acted with... he was in the Nigerian film that was premiered on Sunday, Half of a Yellow Sun. Mr. Kene Mkparu is a Nigerian who, for most of us who are in Nigeria, don't need much introduction. The Nigerian film industry is touted to be the third largest after Nollywood, after Hollywood and Bollywood. But in terms of the earnings, it's quite insignificant. We have to be realistic about that. But we felt this is a platform that could generate that needed income and extend the platform of the Nigerian film industry. The cinema culture is very big in Nigeria, especially in the north and the southwest. But lately, in the early 80s and 90s, that culture almost virtually died. But in the last 5-6 years, the industry is booming once again. People like Kene Mkparu have come back home and are trying to show fit. He's talking the talk and he's walking the walk. He's invested in this industry. He believed in the industry, and he felt that Nigerians and foreigners also can come in here and invest on this particular platform. And that's why we have decided to have this event here to see if we could influence, even if it is one person, train one and the other person trains another. If we get, even if it is one investor today who says he's ready to come into Nigeria and see what the industry is all about, to build cinemas, then we will have done a lot for the entertainment industry in Nigeria. So let me quickly introduce Mr. Kene Mkparu to do this presentation. Mr. Kene.
Ladies and gentlemen, my greetings. And thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity, because I believe in cinema business. I believe in the Nigerian film industry. I believe in Nollywood. I believe in all aspects of the Nigerian film industry. And for the sake of this presentation, when I talk Nollywood, I'm not just referring to films made in the southeast or southwest. I'm referring to the Nigerian film industry, because there's also what is called Kannywood, you know, but they're all part of the Nigerian film industry, and I believe in all of them. And I think, you know, we've got a platform called cinemas that it's potentially one of the biggest, that will be one of the biggest makers commercially for Nigerian films. Okay. So before I want to talk about the role of cinemas in the development of Nollywood in Nigeria as it is, you know, because I believe if we can conquer the Nigerian space with 160 million people, the world will pay attention even stronger than they are doing at the moment. Okay. But let me just give you a little bit of, you know, tell you a little bit about the Nigerian cinema space. Traditionally, like Yunusa said earlier, up until the early 80s, what I term old in cinemas, there were 5,000 cinemas in Nigeria. 5,000 cinemas up until the early 80s. They were the typical one screen, some of them no roof, predominantly showed Chinese and Bollywood films. Then from 2004, modern cinemas started cropping up with multi-screens. And these include, by December 2004, there was only one cinema, Silverbird at Via in Lagos. And then with 5 screens, no digital. The digital phenomenon hadn't really kicked in then. No 3D. By 2007, there were 4 cinemas with 16 screens, no digital. By 2010 December, 9 cinemas, 46 screens, 2 digital, that's 14% of the screens, and 2 3D, 4% rather of the screens. By September, as we are today, there are 14 cinemas, modern cinemas in Nigeria. Now, don't forget, in Kano State alone, of these cinemas, there are 42 of them still operational today. But for the sake of this presentation, we're talking about the modern multi-screen cinemas. So as of today, there are 14 cinemas, 70 screens. 10 of those screens are digital, and 6 of those screens have 3D. By the end of this year, that's in a few months' time, there'll be 18 cinemas as planned and under construction at the moment. Whether they meet some might miss the deadline, but the deadline is to have 18 cinemas with 88 screens, 36 digital. So there's a huge changeover to digital, and 12 3D screens. By 2015, we're looking at about 30 cinemas, 145 screens, 100% digital, and about 25 3D. Now, the current operators in Nigeria include Filmhouse Cinemas. As I commenced operation December 2012 with 3 cinemas, 11 screens, 1 digital, 1 3D. Silverbird commenced in 2004, 6 cinemas, 38 screens, 3 digital, 3 3D. Genesis Deluxe Cinemas, December 2008, 3 cinemas, 15 screens, 2 digital, 2 3D. Ozone Cinemas commenced November 2008, is 1 cinema, 4 screens. And as at last month, they converted all the 4 screens to digital, no 3D. City Mall Cinemas started about 2007, 1 cinema, 2 screens, no 3D. So in total, we've got about 14% cinemas currently digitalized, and about 70 screens altogether. By December 2013, later this year, Filmhouse, there was a total of 18 cinemas, like I said earlier, 88 screens, 36 digital, and 12 3D. So we're shooting up to 41% digital pretty much within 6 months, and that's phenomenal. And I'll come back to why I think this is very important. Now, just for your view, some images of cinemas in Nigeria. So for those that haven't been to Nigeria, when we talk of cinemas, it's good to put it in perspective so we know we're talking modern cinemas in Nigeria. Now, percentage of films released by origin. 2009, about 70% of films released in cinemas in Nigeria were Nollywood. So, 7%. Sorry, 7%. About 76 were Hollywood. 2010, it started growing. By 2013, December, about 23%. Bollywood kind of started dropping as well, and there are reasons why. And Hollywood now maintained about 65%, 68%. Okay, so in effect, Nollywood films percentages, in terms of the numbers, they're actually growing. So here, I think there were only about 15 cinemas, 15 films, Nollywood films. Here, by the end of 2013, there would have been over 30 films released in cinemas, and that's progress. Now, let's break this down into box office performances. By 2009, there are 7 films, 7 Nollywood titles released in the cinema, and they cumulatively grossed just under $500,000. There were no figures for year on year. The top films were figuring Tenant, Through the Glass. Now, comparatively, Avatar in the same year, end of 2009, grossed 555 in US dollars, 555,000 thereabouts. By 2010, the number of films started increasing in the cinemas, and also the box office growth started increasing, 50% on the year before, the biggest film, EJ. Until today, EJ remains the biggest grossing film in Nigerian cinemas. Anchor Baby as well fitted in here. Then we had the big Hollywood films, Prince of Persia, Clash of the Titans, and Salt, in addition to more. 2011, it increased. 2012, there was a steady increase. And also, very importantly, is that cumulatively, Nollywood films are beginning to make money in cinemas. And that's very important and very crucial. And some of the key films that have done that, Return of Jennifer, Tango with Me, Mirror Boy, The Meeting, and as of this year, We Can Get Away, Contract, Flower Girl, and a few more to come. We also have, there's a film coming out next month, in a few weeks, called Alamposa. Is a comedy, and we're kind of high hopes for that film. Okay, so just to also put it in perspective, you know, because anybody sitting here that is conversant with global box office will think these numbers, will say these numbers are small compared to, say, North America or Europe or UK. But the important thing is the cinema average. Now, for those that are actually well into film distribution, these are the most important numbers here, screen averages. Because this film, EJ, made $423,000 in only about 6 or 7 cinemas. So the average is the key thing. If there were 100 cinemas, EJ would do far better. Now, pick out any Variety magazine, Screen International magazine, and show me how many Hollywood films do those kind of numbers. It's not a lot, you know. So what I'm saying is that there's potential in the Nigeria territory, and that's why the likes of us went back to Nigeria to set these things up. There's huge potential. If we can do this, now what happens when we put cinemas, we open a cinema in Ibadan. Everybody thought to do business in Nigeria has got to be Lagos, Abuja, or Port Harcourt. We opened a cinema in Ibadan in May this year, and that cinema does better than practically a lot of cinemas in Lagos, you know, and that's crucial. So the second-tier cities, that's where everybody is going now. And collectively, this kind of numbers, I think, will increase. Return of Jennifer, the same kind of thing. Tango with Me, Figurine. Now, Tango with Me actually grossed more than Figurine. Tango with Me grossed something like 40-something million, Figurine about 35. But Figurine did that in 2009, I think, or 2009. So exchange rate was 135. But Tango with Me, when he did it, was about 160. So really, Figurine has a bit more value. You know, but these are, you know, the top films in Nigerian film, for Nigerian films. Now let me kind of compare it do a global comparison. Now I don't know if you can see this bit, but this is a film, Avatar. When he released in Nigeria, when it's converted, he made $554,000 US in 6 screens, averaging $92,000 per cinema. The same film in the States made at the time, made $760 million US in 3,400 opened in 3,461 cinemas. Remember, I'm talking cinemas, cinema average, not screen average. It averaged 219. The same thing, UK, Ireland, and Malta, 298. South Africa, southern region, not just South Africa, Zimbabwe, Botswana, the rest of them, $77,000 US. So Nigeria is superior. Same thing, East Africa, Kenya, Somalia, Tanzania, Uganda, 44. Brazil, 88. Ghana, 59. France, the same thing. So this gives you a picture. Clash of the Titans, so the year starts increasing now. Clash of the Titans, Nigeria, $58,000 US average. US, 42,000. UK, 62. And look at everybody else. Pretty low in terms of screen averages. You know, but they have more screens. I mean, Brazil opened in 500 and whatever screens. In Nigeria, it only opened in 7. But what it's saying is that there's potential in this territory. You know, Prince of Persia, Nigeria 64, US 25, UK 28, South Africa 19, and the rest of them. Nigeria 64 screen average, cinema average. Salt 2010, Nigeria 63. US 32, 27, and such like. the same thing. I can go on and on and on. Avengers in 2012. Nigeria, 115. But, you know, US, 141. UK, 155. Everybody else, lower. So it's an important territory, you know, to invest in. So this is the potential that your Nollywood films can achieve. You know, we'll get into some of those things that will make your film succeed. So we're looking at enhancing Nollywood box office growth in the Nigerian cinema, the immediate future. What can be done? What are the opportunities available? More cinemas, more screens. That's fundamental, very important. Nigeria has about 0.8 screens per million people. So for a million of the population, that's 0.8 screens. India has about 8 screens per million, US 117 per million, Brazil 10 per million, Indonesia 141 per million. So we're really lacking, you know, we need more screens. Now, more importantly, a lot of the cinemas we're building, you know, Nigeria has a highly diverse social strata. Now, a lot of the cinemas we're building is capturing the middle to the upper class. Yeah. Now, very importantly, we need community cinemas. It's very important to the mix as well, because there's a huge population of this 160 million people out there that can't afford, you know, what it costs to see films in cinemas as it is today in Nigeria. So these cinemas are inner city locations, absolutely no frills, low income neighborhoods. This market represents the primary audience for Nigerian films. The low-cost tickets are approximately about $2 per ticket, but the turnover is projected to be absolutely huge. It will target the majority of the 160 million people in Nigeria, and cost of build is approximately $500,000 for the cinema. Equipment, everything, infrastructure, every single thing, generator, if you need a generator, ₦500,000 will build the cinema. As compared to the modern cinemas, it's about $500,000 per screen. So there's a difference between modern cinemas, for instance, you get a space in a mall and you have to fit it out, you know, with your cinema stuff. It will cost about $500,000 per screen. Whereas the community cinemas is $500,000 for the whole structure. You know, and so we think there's a future there. Digitalization of cinemas. Now, the reason why we're struggling in that part of Africa to digitalize, there's not one cinema chain, the big chains, AMCs, the Odeons, the UCIs, all of them in the world that actually paid for digitalization. They didn't pay their own money. They did a deal with, you know, third-party financiers. So when the manufacturer supplies the equipment shows the film, and a virtual print fee goes towards paying. It's almost like a hire purchase. But in Africa, we have to pay everything for everything. We don't have that benefit. And it costs for one auditorium, sound and projection equipment, without 3D, just full digital, is about 22 million naira. Quick conversion to US dollars. 22 million naira. Back. Sorry?
60-something thousand.
About 100,000, right? Yeah? Okay, 100,000 US dollars to equip one auditorium. If we had 10 auditoria, where am I going to get that kind of money from? So what we did as Filmhouse, you know, because I used to work for Odeon Cinemas in the UK, and I worked in Odeon for nearly 20 years before I went back. So we went to Europe. We sat down with the leading manufacturer in Europe of digital technology. We locked the door, said, you're not leaving here until you give us a deal. And I'm happy to say they gave us that deal, guaranteed by a bank in Nigeria. And so that's why Filmhouse, if you notice the figures, we're jumping from 4% digitalization straight to you know, nearly 40%. But I think by November this year, Filmhouse will be 80% digitalized, you know, if not 100. So these are the difficulties we have, you know, in Africa. A lot of the meetings we've had here, you know, we're trying to show people the opportunities that exist in Africa, you know, particularly for digitalization. Now, when we're fully digital, a lot of Nollywood filmmakers will have very little problem, because oftentimes their films, you know, they're pushed to convert to 35 and the expenses and all that. But with digital, we can take care of them even more in the cinemas. So there's an opportunity for financing digital. Yeah, and I believe the other cinemas are also looking into doing that right now. Increased marketing spend. the more we have cinemas, the more there will be P&A funds, the more, you know, the marketing spend to advertise the movies so people can know, can come and see it. Distribution capacity development also, you know, training all our distribution companies, in fact, attracting the studios to actually come into Nigeria and operate from Nigeria. Those will start happening as well. Nigeria's cinema's anti-piracy position. There's not really been any film, whilst it's showing in the Nigerian cinema, that's been pirated. Any Nollywood film, whilst it's showing, is doing its run in the Nigerian cinemas, there's not one that's been pirated. Yeah? The only time they get pirated is when they finish their run and the producer decides to now screen it themselves in halls and universities, then they get pirated. But whilst they're showing in cinemas, they never get pirated, which is a plus. It's just by default, you know, and it's something I think we need to tap into more. You know, if that way the producers can actually realize more revenue from their business, then cinema you know, has a strong plus for them. Okay, so interesting thing. With all this, we're looking to roll out cinemas. Filmhouse, we're looking to roll out 25 cinemas in 6 years. The way we're going, I think we're going to open 7. We opened 3 in 6 months. We're going to open 7 in 12 months. We might do it in 4.5 years. So with all that happening, question for Nollywood filmmakers. Why do you make films? Any reason you have for making film is okay, is good. Why do you make films? You want to be a patriot, social captain? Fine. You want to showcase culture? Excellent. You want to teach morals? You purely want to make money? Like me? Highlight charitable causes? Document history? Expose reality and social ills? Imitate aspects of life? Win awards? Get personal recognitions and accolades? School education, advertise a product. Whatever reason is fine. But for me, I want to make money for you. You know? So if you make a film that will document history, don't necessarily expect that I'll make money for you. Because people go to cinema for entertainment. If you can entertain them and teach them history at the same time, you're on a double winner. That's the mark, you know? But oftentimes people go to get entertained. So question to filmmakers for commercial viability, is it what you want to disseminate or what the audience wants to watch? So you got to think about that very carefully, you know, when you make your film. You know, is it, you know, you want to tell the story of the chief in my village, or you want to tell about an action film that happened in my village? When you watch this action film, you now learn about my chief. That's the winner. But if you simply want to document history, I don't think the cinema will make money for you. So it's just something to bear in mind. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think thank you very much for your time. I don't know if there's any questions.
This can create millions of jobs for Nigeria. This could curb a lot of the restiveness in the country. If cannot be brought to address at least 60 or 100 Nigerian ambassadors globally that will further go to their respective countries and mobilize for the actualization of this. And the one that concerns me, I'm a history man, is that don't worry, my film will put a lot of entertainment. Yeah. It's been worthwhile. I'm very.
No, interestingly, can I just add your film? I know about your film. It's a historical film. However, when people are going to watch it, they'll be watching an action film. And I've used an example, 2 examples before. Braveheart, yeah, tells you a little bit about the Scottish history, especially the relationship with England. Yeah. However, we went to watch a damn good action, gory film. Same thing for Apocalypto, Mel Gibson's film. Yeah? Everything I know today about the Mayan civilization of South America, I learned from that film. But that's not what he was showing me. He was showing me an action-packed film. Titanic. James Cameron was making a love story. He caged it in Titanic. But 90% of what I know about Titanic, I learned from the film. I can go on and on and on. So the focus, as far as cinema is concerned, not as far as university is concerned, as far as cinema is concerned, is entertainment. Then you can pass your message on to, you know. And I give you many examples. Years ago in the UK, there was a film called Bullet Boy. Yeah, Asher Walters, this thing, yeah, you know, and I'm starred in it. the film failed woefully. It was addressing anti-gun culture, anti-gun in black society. You know, it was addressing the gun culture in black society. But years before that in America, there was a film called Boys in the Hood. Exactly the same message, right? Why was this successful? Because you watch the American, you know, entertainment, street, you know, we watched entertainment and got a message. But Bullet Boy, you know, and mind you, Bullet Boy got the kind of publicity that Harry Potter gets in the UK. And it still failed. Why? Because I'm not going to go, I watch it on Sky News every day. I'm not going to go and pay money to be entertained. You know, why do you go to the cinemas? You go on a date. You go family time, whatever. You know, I'm not going to go on a date and want to learn about your king. You know, I'm not interested. When I get home, I'll do that. However, if you put love story in it or war in it, then that's what I'm going to watch. You know, so I have good hopes for your film. Yeah. And there, let's say Hollywood, Nollywood and Hollywood kind of 50-50 in the cinemas. What kind of projections for the revenues? I don't, you see, you can't say because it's film. EJ was $423,000. Yeah, a lot of the Hollywood films didn't achieve that. They haven't achieved that. So it's not because it's Hollywood, it's got to be in the 400s. No, it's just the product, you know.
Is that the gross?
Yes, it's a gross. Yeah.
Gross.
Yes.
Not,
yes.
With tax and all that.
No. A producer will. Yeah, a producer will generally keep 30 to 35% of the box office receipts, generally speaking. You know, so I don't know if that answers the first question, first part of the question. If an investor is coming in, yeah, what should to invest in cinemas or film. Yes. Yeah. We can happily have that discussion. And I mean, I have two banks here that have absolutely supported this mission. Bank of Industry, Uche is here, and Nexim Bank, Carlo is here. You know, they're here. You know, we had those kind of meetings with them, and we convinced them to believe in this. And they are the reason why I'm opening 25 cinemas in 6 years. You know, anywhere they go, that's what I'm here with them. And importantly as well, the government, you know, because I think that enabling environment is crucial. Very soon, this kind of things that you're talking about, the taxation, the even importation, some of our products, you know, you import a projector for the cinema, and the custom will break it down, and you end up paying like 25% duties on it, you know, and it's heavy. It's a lot, you know. Bank of Industry, Nexim, they helped us deal with some of these issues at the time, but government is beginning to take more and more steps to help with this, you know. So I think those meetings are already been had. Even in Hollywood, in the 20s and 30s, in North America, there was a law that says a certain percentage of your auditoria will be for local films. It didn't work. You know, in the UK, it didn't work. You know, Brazil has got that. I'm not sure, because I'm in a commercial business. I've got my bankers here. I've got to return a certain amount of money every month to them, right? So if I open the door for you and you keep giving me, excuse me, Skoda, yeah? When my audience wants Range Rover Sport, then there's a slight difference, there's a problem, yeah? So we then keep feeding Range Rover Sport a little bit more, you know, and try to get the Skoda to change. That's why Skoda changed a bit and became high-selling cars, right? You know, like Kia. When Kia came out, it was kind of considered not good quality. But today, the Sportage in Nigeria can match where the Jeeps and all the Skodas and all the Range Rover Sports go. So you understand what I mean? So I mean, I have a responsibility to my investors, to my financiers, you know, so I've got to do that. But also, we're trying to open this window, and that's part of why I show this a lot, that Nollywood films have got a home, you know. But also, the other thing to bear in mind, when we do the community cinemas, our projections say that 90% of them will be Nigerian films. I'm not going to show, I will show the action Hollywood films. I'm not going to show Blind Side. I'm not going to show that kind of film. We won't sell, you know. So I will show what the market wants. And that market in the inner city, they want your real hardcore Nollywood films. And I'm not even talking the film that Kunle Afolayan or Lancelot makes, because they probably wouldn't even understand the English, right? I'm talking the real, you know, whatever that means, you know, hardcore Nollywood. That's what we'll plug in there for them. When we open in Kanu, we're supposed to open a cinema in December in Kanu. When we open in Kanu, I'm not sure Lancelot's film will be showing there because it might not have a market there. Our job is to make it have a market. Yeah? But we'll be showing the Kanu ones, the Hausa ones, plus a lot of Bollywood, you know, and 10% Hollywood. So for me, I go with the market. You know, if I come here and I sell you Nigerian food and you're not eating Nigerian food, you're eating lasagna, I have to change my business model in my restaurant. You know, otherwise I'll go out of business. You know, in Filmhouse, I think we share about 106 years combined cinema operation and cinema experience. You know, so we're not, you know, we're inviting people that have what we need, whether it's financing or skills or whatever that will enhance ours to get this thing better. And there's nothing wrong with that, yeah? And, you know, there was a meeting I had a couple of years ago in Nigeria with Kene, you know, the director of development. You know, Kene is the biggest cinema chain in Africa, South Africa based, you know, and he came to Nigeria and we met at Radisson. And I said to him, what are you doing in Nigeria? You know, he said, yeah, okay, we're trying to see how we can do this thing, you know, bring our expertise and all that stuff. Fine. He had a messiah mentality. He was coming as a messiah. I said, okay, let me just tell you a little bit about us sitting here. 5 minutes later, by the time I finished, he changed it. Okay, let's see how we can partner. I said, that's what you should have said in the first place. You know, that's what you should have said in the first place. Now let's start talking. You know, because, you know, and I get that a lot from, you know, people that come in because everybody, the people that actually identify these opportunities, come and join us and partner with us, let's get it right. But you're not coming to take over, you know, because I trained people that trained you, you know, you know, so we know exactly what you know. But there might be something you have that I need. Let's partner and do it together. Yeah.
We want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Kene Mkparu and His Excellency, the Nigerian Ambassador to Canada, Chief Ojo Madwekwe. We will allow him to give us some one or two comments on what Kene has said now. Thank you, sir.
Let me just go straight to the point without getting into the long winding protocol ceremonies we often do at home because we must join the rest of the world to be in a hurry. I quickly want to say I feel at home, very much at home here. In 1999, when I was Minister of Culture and Tourism, I was an impatient prophet. Every prophet, what he saw is impatient anyway. That what Kene, thank you very much, Kene, for this wonderful presentation. What Kene is doing here represents the wave of the future economy of Nigeria that will eclipse the oil economy that we have been so dependent on. And I'm grateful that I've lived long enough after other positions in government, transport, foreign affairs, now High Commissioner of Nigeria to Canada, to witness the fulfillment of that prophecy. And of course, the diaspora project is also a very important agenda of this administration. It's been since 1999, but under President Jonathan, we are taking it naturally to an unprecedented level. So listening to Kene make this wonderful presentation as a distinguished diaspora returnee, there can be no better proof that the diaspora holds the key to a more rapid transformation of the Nigerian economy than what Kene is doing by bringing his global expertise and global connections and global solidarity, working with those who have been at home doing the heavy lifting to create the kind of environment that Kene now finds quite conducive. So that synergy between those of our entrepreneurs at home and those who are coming back after the great exposure they've had is a secret for why Nollywood is doing so well. And Nollywood will continue to be a model for the Nigerian economy because it's based on local talent, local enterprise, local ingenuity, and is the ultimate brand, Nigeria. I want to say that, of course, on behalf of President Jonathan, whom I represent here, that government will continue to support Nollywood. Government will continue to partner with the enormous talents that are there to see how through tax incentives and, of course, the kind of funding from Bank of Industry, Nexim Bank, which Kene has graciously acknowledged, government can do a lot more for this very important part of our economy. Finally, in terms of my comment, is to say this. We have lamented for too long about how to make Nigeria be truly a great country and not just a potentially great country. And of course, our population of 170 million people, sometimes we don't even know how many we are, because we've done very well in making babies. I think it's a demographic dividend only to the extent that those large number of young people, because most of these 170 million people are people that are below 20. Those large number, 60%, I understand. If they can find jobs, if they can find skills, if they're able to be globally competitive, and which is what this whole presentation today is all about, skills, financing, training, improvement, and improvement all the time, then the demographic dividend of Nigeria will truly be a huge demographic opportunity and not a demographic disaster. And if there's one thing I can say, among many great things I can say about Canada, it is the emphasis Canada places on improving the human capital. Canada, unlike our own history in Nigeria, they refuse to be seduced by the huge amount of natural resources here in Canada. This is one of the richest countries in the world in terms of natural resources. Name it, whether it's oil and gas or platinum or gold or whatever. What they have done is to say what is up here is far more important than that what is below your feet. And so if you talk about countries that put education as the most important value, Canada will be number one. And I think we can learn from them to see how by training our people, that's why the global contact is very important. Training our people, improving skills, we'll be able to create jobs. We don't have to reinvent the wheel on the issue of getting our economy globally competitive. It may not be profitable for us to now try to see whether we can manufacture cars. It may not be profitable for us to see whether we can manufacture even the bicycles I love to ride. What we may be able to do is to move from the giving, from what we already have, which is the sheer genius of our young men and women in terms of the creative arts. See how that area, which the world is very much thirsting for that, see how the creative industry can now create the wealth, which will become investment funds that can now go into manufacturing. The route that many countries took was agriculture, manufacturing, service. We can now move from service, namely through the entertainment industry, and then move the funds into manufacturing. And of course, agriculture, with the great job the Minister of Agriculture is doing, is being already transformed into business. So please, the future is bright for this industry. And government is ready, as I said before, to give whatever support that needs to be given, not only in continuously improving the security atmosphere. Nobody wants to go to the cinema house and then get bombed. So government is doing everything it can at a challenging moment to ensure that those people who have a different agenda from you and I to spread misery, that they are increasingly taken out, one way or the other. So in a secure atmosphere, the economy will triumph, our young people will flourish, ultimately and finally, as I said before, brand Nigeria will be the global success story that the rest of the world has been waiting for. I thank you for this opportunity of being here. I particularly want to commend my sister, the DG of Census Board, whose leadership has made it possible for us to gather here today. I am fully aware they are the ones hosting this. It's the initiative that made it possible for us to be here. I believe that all the points can be taken together, including the point that my good friend over there made, that at the end of the day, all politics is, since all politics is local, all business is local, that whatever we say here in Canada, the most crucial thing is to go back home, put it all together, and I'm sure next time, because the learning curve keeps improving, next time the Universal Studios people, the Fox and all that, using, and I think he made a very important point which shouldn't be lost on us, and there's no point being very defensive about this. Too often, part of the reason why we are not able to leverage on what we have is that we don't make use of our people in systems. Globally, we have Nigerians who are doing very well in international organizations. So I believe my sister has gotten the message that next time there will be need, and not only in the area of census board, but in every other aspect of government. But government and the private enterprise, private sector are working together. We should make use of our people everywhere, including those who are not in government, but who are in the various communities that are being worthy ambassadors of Nigeria. And I believe that next time, this kind of presentation which Kene has made here, together with others with similar exposure and capacity, Fox and Universal Studio, because we've already gotten our act together, they will now be the ones celebrating this success story. Once more, congratulations. Thank you. God bless you.